Hello everyone, and welcome to Arcana Index. Here, each week, we are taking a deep dive into one piece of Unearthed Arcana material released for Dungeons & Dragons 5.5. I know I've been saying 5.24, but I think the community is starting to settle on 5.5, so I guess I'll go with it. But with each piece of Unearthed Arcana, we're diving into it, discussing how playable it is in its current form, and getting into any changes you might want to consider if you wanted to use it at your table now instead of waiting for the full release. Today, we are going to start diving into the newly released Subclasses Updated document that came out on October 30th, 2025. Today, we're trying to cover a little more ground than usual, and we're going to jump into both of the new Barbarian subclasses. We have the Path of the Spiritual Guardian, previously the Path of the Ancestral Guardian, and the Path of the Storm Herald. Both of these subclasses were generally considered some of the weaker ones in 2014, but we have some major improvements and changes, so let's get into it. Starting off with the Path of the Spiritual Guardian, the flavor text here says, "Barbarians who walk the path of the Spiritual Guardian call upon spirits, whether bestial spirits of nature, spirits of departed ancestors, or spirits of raw elemental power, to guide them and protect them. When these barbarians rage, they contact the realm of the spirits and call on them for aid." This subclass is one of the best ways to play a true tank character, one who directs damage to themselves by making things actively more difficult for enemies to hurt your allies. I love the slightly more mystical nature of these barbarians. The flavor here is just impeccable. Let's check out the mechanics. Starting at 3rd level, we get the Spiritual Protectors feature. This says, your rage summons spectral warriors to your aid. While your rage is active, when you hit a creature with a weapon or an unarmed strike, it becomes the target of the spirits, which causes one of the following effects of your choice. Distract. Until the start of your next turn, the target has disadvantage on attack rolls against targets other than you or another barbarian who has this feature. Protect. Until the end of the target's next turn, the next time it hits a creature other than you with an attack roll, that creature has resistance to the damage dealt by the attack. Strike. The target takes an extra 1d6 damage, which can be acid, cold, fire, force, lightning, or thunder damage, your choice. I love features that feel like a toolbox. Getting to choose which of these features to use is amazing because all of them are good. The best part of this feature is that it's not limited to once per turn. You get to choose one of these effects each time you hit with an attack while you are raging. It's phenomenal. Honestly, this class might be the new best 2-weapon fighting barbarian, since more attacks means more chances to hit and more chances to do one of these things. Distract is your classic tank feature, but maybe you have an ally that is concentrating on something super important and they don't have a very high AC. This advantage might not be as good for protecting their concentration as giving them resistance would. While the damage, 1d6 per attack, might not scale incredibly well, it will always stay relevant. Honestly, 1d6 per attack might actually result in more damage than even the Berserker or Zealot, but only if you go the dual wielding route. However, then you're giving up damage from Great Weapon Master. I'd have to crunch the numbers on it. But either way, it's a cool feature and means that even if you are more interested in the tanking options, this gives you something that will always be relevant. At level 6, we get Spirit Shield. This says, your guardian spirits can provide supernatural protection to those you defend. While your rage is active, when another creature you can see within 30 feet of you takes damage, you can take a reaction to reduce that damage. To determine the amount the damage is reduced by, roll a number of d6s equal to your rage damage bonus, and add them together. This is a really solid defensive feature. It's a reaction that will be available for every combat you are raging for. I like that it's a way to protect your allies that isn't just giving out temporary hit points, especially since as of now, there are so many ways to get temporary hit points, and this feature can be used to protect that pool of temp HP. Level 10, we get Consult the Spirits. This says, you gain the ability to consult with your guardian spirits. When you do so, you cast the Augury or Clairvoyant spell without expending a spell slot or needing material components. Rather than creating a spherical sensor, This use of clairvoyance invisibly summons one of your guardian spirits to the chosen location. Wisdom is your spellcasting ability for these spells. After you cast either spell in this way, you can't use this feature again until you finish a short or long rest. Both of these are fun spells that do bring some needed utility. Augury is a really fun and thematic spell, and Clairvoyance definitely has some good utility. This is coming online at level 10, and so it might feel kind of underwhelming at this point in the game, especially since both of these are ritual spells, meaning if you have anyone in your party who can cast these spells, it's probably super redundant. This feature would be a good ribbon, but I wish we got a little more from this level. At level 14 we get our capstone, and here we have Vengeful Spirits. This says, when you make an attack roll with a melee weapon as part of the attack action, and roll 18 to 20 on the d20, you can make one additional attack roll with the same weapon as part of that action. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until the start of your next turn. Now, I know I say this all the time, I don't do character builds. But if you make your attacks with advantage from Reckless Attack, the chance of hitting 18, 19, or 20 in a round is 27%. If you do go the dual-wielding archetype, you're making 4 attacks per round at this point. 2 from extra attack, 1 from the Nick Weapon Mastery, and 1 as your bonus action from the dual-wielder feat, each of which has a 27% chance to trigger the extra attack. Unless you're Will Wheaton, you're going to trigger that attack almost every round. That's 5 attacks on most rounds. If you wanted to, each of those attacks could deal an extra d6. That's on par with monks, but you get to add rage damage to all of these. That's really good. This is a good feature too. I really like this subclass. It's not as flashy as the Path of the World tree, but getting to do a cool support or damage thing on every single attack is so cool. I'm really happy with this subclass, it just feels fun. Honestly, the 2024 rule set has needed a good tank for a while, so I would be happy to have this subclass at my table. Next, we are going to dive into the Path of the Storm Herald Barbarian. The flavor text here is amazing as well. It says, "Wield the fury of the storm." Barbarians who follow the path of the Storm Herald learn to harness their rage into a mantle of primal magic that swirls around them like a storm. When in their rage, these barbarians tap into the elemental forces of nature to create powerful magical effects. More cool effects that happen when a barbarian rages? Sign me up. Mechanically speaking, at level 3, we get Storm Aura. This is a big feature, so we're going to break it up a little bit. First up, it says, whenever you activate your rage, choose Desert, Sea, or Tundra. You extend an aura in a 10-foot emanation originating from yourself for the duration of your rage. Your aura has an effect that activates when you enter your rage, and you can activate the effect again on each of your turns as a bonus action. Your aura's effect depends on the chosen environment as detailed below. If your aura's effect requires a saving throw, the DC equals 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your constitution modifier. Alright, we get a little aura that we can affect in some way when we activate our rage and as a bonus action on each turn. One of the things I look for in a subclass, or class features in general, are meaningful ways to use action economy. I want something I can do with my action, bonus action, reaction, concentration, and if possible, movement speed. Most characters have solid, meaningful things to do with their actions. For most barbarians, that's going to be making weapon attacks. I'm not really looking for additional options for my action, but having an impactful bonus action available every single round is really interesting. Let's take a look at our options. First up, we have Desert. This says, when this effect is activated, roll a number of d4s equal to your rage damage bonus and add them together. Each creature in the aura must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or take fire damage equal to the number rolled. You can choose one creature you can see in your aura to automatically succeed this saving throw. A little bit of AoE fire damage isn't bad. I do wish it was still half damage on a successful save. 2d4 to 4d4 isn't a lot of damage though, especially if they save taking no damage. At my table, I'd probably allow a successful save to still take half damage. C says when this effect is activated, roll a number of d6s equal to your rage damage bonus and add them together. You can then hurl a bolt of lightning at one creature you can see within your aura. The target makes a dexterity saving throw, taking lightning damage equal to the number rolled on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one. I think this might be a little better. D6s on a single target will probably cause less friendly fire, but honestly, I don't know if it's even significantly meaningful. And Tundra says, when this effect is activated, roll a number of d4s equal to your rage damage bonus. Add them together. You can choose one creature you can see within your aura to harry with icy spirits. The target must succeed on a strength saving throw, or it subtracts the number rolled from the next damage roll it makes before the start of your next turn. Again, I'm not sure how impactful this is. An average of 5 damage reduced on one attack isn't a lot of damage, even at 3rd level. And at level 16, it goes up to an average of 10 damage. Still not a lot. Especially since if they save, it just does nothing. At level 6, we get Storm Soul. The storm grants you benefits even when your aura isn't active. The benefits are based on the environment you chose from your storm aura the last time you entered your rage. I do like the flavor here. I think you could do some really cool things with the descriptions of the storm lingering behind your eyes. Desert, you gain resistance to fire damage. As a magic action, you can touch a flammable object that isn't being worn or carried by anyone else and cause the object to start burning. This is a cool ribbon effect. Setting things on fire is always fun, and resistance to fire damage may often come in handy. C. You gain resistance to lightning damage, and you can breathe underwater. You also gain a swim speed equal to your speed. This is one of those features that in certain campaigns will absolutely shine, and other times you will go the entire campaign and not realize you had this feature. Tundra. You gain resistance to cold damage. As a magic action, you can touch water and turn a 5-foot cube of it into ice, which melts after 1 minute. This action fails if a creature is in the cube. This is another interesting ribbon feature that may come up on occasion. The resistances granted by this feature here kind of frustrate me. This is something that happens so much in D&D, and 5e and 5.5 in particular, and it drives me crazy. For this feature, it gives you fire resistance, but only if the last time you used Rage, you chose the option that deals fire damage. And often, monsters that deal a lot of fire damage are resistant or immune to that type of damage. So you have to pick. You can't both deal a damage type that's effective and have resistance to a relevant damage type. It makes me feel like I have to pick between whether I want to use my 3rd level feature or my 6th level feature. Is it too much to ask to have both features be effective at the same time? Sorry about that. Off my soapbox again. At level 10, we get Shielding Storm. This says you can use your Mastery of the Storm to protect others. Each creature of your choice within your Storm aura has the damage resistance you have from the Storm Soul feature. So now your resistance will cover other allies. So maybe you should prioritize being resistant to the right damage type. If you end up in a situation where resistance to fire, lightning, or cold matters, it just feels bad to have to all but give up your 3rd level feature to do it. At level 14, we get Raging Storm. This gives you one more effect depending on which storm aura you chose. The whole feature says, the power of the storm you channel grows mightier, lashing out at your foes. The effect is based on the environment you chose for your storm aura. Desert. Once per turn, when a creature you can see fails its saving throw against your storm aura effect, you can cause it to start burning for 1 minute or until your rage ends. A burning creature takes an extra 1d4 fire damage, 2d4 fire damage total, at the start of each of its turns. For those that don't know, burning is now a condition in the player's handbook that says you take 1d4 damage at the start of your turn. You can use an action to essentially stop, drop, and roll and end the condition, or it can be extinguished by water or other effect that would put it out. C. Whether the target fails or succeeds on the saving throw against your storm aura effect, a bolt of lightning leaps from the target to another target of your choice, which must be within 30 feet of the first target. The new target makes the same dexterity saving throw as the first target. Tundra. Once per turn, when a creature you can see fails its saving throw against your Storm Aura effect, you can cause it to take 2d4 cold damage, and its speed is halved until the end of its next turn. Again, none of these options really excite me. 1 or 2d4 at 14th level is just not a meaningful amount. Overall, I want to love this subclass so badly. A powerful primal warrior who brings the storm with him is such a cool archetype. I just want to like it more than I actually do. For a few simple homebrew ideas to bring it more in line, I'd probably consider allowing you to change which aspect of the storm you are channeling every round. As far as the resistances go, I'd just give my player all of them. You are resistant to fire, cold, and lightning damage. These two changes alone would make it feel much better at the table. Either way, I'm glad you stuck around. This has been my look at the 2 Barbarian subclasses and the new updated subclasses Unearthed Arcana packet. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you want to see my deep dives into the other subclasses in this document, we'll keep working on them next Monday, so subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it. Thanks so much for stopping by, and until next time.